What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome into NBA Now from Chat Sports. Look, you know, we've done the point guards, we've done the top 10 shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards. There's only one position left, and you guys are pretty smart. I think you can figure out where we're going with this one. It's the top 10 centers in the NBA for 2019-2020. And as always, I want you to give me your top 10 before I give you mine. And then we can compare side by side, see who's got the better top 10 at the end of next year. Before we get into it, though, I got to address the guys who didn't make the cut for this list. And, you know, it was a tough one because there are a lot of really good centers in the league right now. Boogie Cousins and Jusuf Nurkic, they simply could not make it because of injury. I just don't trust where their health is going to be at next season. Miles Turner, look, you guys know that I love the Indiana Pacers and what they've done this offseason, so I wanted to put Turner on there, but I left him off. Brook Lopez had an outstanding season for the Milwaukee Bucks, but I think he's going to take a slight step backward next season. And then Montrezl Harrell, of course, a great sixth man, but I'm not ready to call him a top 10 center in the NBA, but maybe you are. Whoever you think is the top 10, let me know in the comment section. Now let's get into it. Number 10, DeAndre Ayton, second-year center for the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, he went number 1 in that stacked 2018 NBA draft. And in all reality, last season was a Rookie of the Year type season for Ayton if it weren't for guys like Luka Doncic and Trae Young getting in the way. I mean, dominant double-double threat every single night at 16.3 points per game and 10 rebounds. Pretty good field goal percentage, but the blocks per game was not good enough for me or for a lot of people that were paying attention to DeAndre Ayton. I think defensively, he let some people down, but luckily he was just a rookie. He's got some time to improve, and I think he will. That's why I've got him number 10 on my list. But if he takes a giant step forward, he and Devin Booker, maybe the Suns make the playoffs in the next couple of years, but when will the Phoenix Suns make the playoffs once again? It's been a while in Phoenix. That drought out in the desert has continued, but let me know when you think the Phoenix Suns are going to make the playoffs. Number 9, Steven Adams of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I know you guys are like, wait, Jimmy, didn't this guy just have a terrible year last year? Like, why would you have him at number 9? Well, you got to remember, this Oklahoma City Thunder team has been stripped down to its core. I mean, there is nothing left there. And now Steven Adams is the backbone of this team. Now, yes, they have Chris Paul and they traded for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Danilo Gallinari is a great player. But Chris Paul is probably not going to be there for very long. Danilo Gallinari could get traded by the trade deadline. This is Steven Adams' team right now. He is the veteran presence on Oklahoma City's team. Last year, like I said, a down year, but still a double-double threat, still dominant in the paint. If he can handle that extra workload that he's going to get next year and step up defensively, Steven Adams will be in that top 10, no problem. Now listen, guys, I love the NBA, and that's why I am subscribed to Chat Sports, because I like keeping up with all of our NBA videos, not just me, everything that Tom does on the NBA channel as well. And if you love the NBA as much as I do, you want to make sure you're subscribed. Help us get to 150,000 subscribers. Sitting at a little over 130. We're going to get that number up. Hit youtube.com/chatsportstv. Make sure you subscribe. All right, let's go to number 8. Detroit Pistons. They got Andre Drummond, and they're lucky to have him because the dude led the league in rebounds per game last season. I mean, if he's on the floor, the other team is not going to get a rebound. And you got to remember, Drummond is entering a contract year with the Detroit Pistons. He's going to be a free agent next season, which means he's playing for a big contract, which means he's going to step up big. 17 points per game. That league-leading 15.6 rebounds per game. A good shot blocker, not a great defensive threat in the low post, but a good shot blocker. And, you know, you saw the three-point percentage at about 14%. Andre Drummond stepped out and actually tried to shoot some threes last season. It didn't go so well, obviously, that's why it was 14%. But if he becomes a legit stretch 5, I mean, he's going to be even higher on this top 10 list next season. All right, Houston Rockets, they still got CLINT CAPELA. I mean, yeah, their team has changed a little bit. Chris Paul's not there anymore. But CLINT CAPELA has remained a steady presence for the Houston Rockets. He's an elite defender, he's an elite rebounder, and an elite lob threat. Like when James Harden couldn't get his shot off, he was just lobbing it up to CLINT CAPELA down low. This team's looking way different, even though 4 of the 5 starters are still the same. Things are going to change with Russ and Harden in the backcourt now together and CLINT CAPELA in the middle. The only reason that I can't have CLINT CAPELA any higher than number 7 on my top 10 list is because he's just kind of limited of how he can be used in today's NBA. He doesn't really have a mid-range jump shot. He doesn't have a great post game. He's never going to be a stretch 5, but when you rebound, defend, and catch lobs as well as he does, you deserve to be at least in the top 10. Obviously, CLINT CAPELA coming over from Switzerland, but who is the best international basketball player ever? I wouldn't put CLINT CAPELA up there by any means. If you guys know me, you know I'm rocking with Dirk Nowitzki for this one. But let me know who you think the best international player of all time is in the comment section. Let's move to another one. Nikola Vucevic of the Orlando Magic comes in at number 6 on my top 10. Severely underrated. I mean, he made an all-star team for a reason last year. He led his team to the playoffs. He is the focal point of that offense in Orlando. Last year, another guy that is a double threat every night, and not just a double-double, a 20-point double-double, 21 points per game, 12 boards. You know, he blocks shots pretty well just because he's so tall, but I wouldn't call him a rim protector by any means. And when you talk about stretch fives, Nikola Vucevic is the picture-perfect stretch five in today's NBA. Shot it at 36.4% from 3 last season. Now, of course, he didn't step up when it came playoff time. I mean, he just disappeared. And that's why I don't have him in my top 5. Because I haven't seen him prove to me that he can step up when it really matters. One guy that always steps up, though, Rudy Gobert. I mean, he's the best rim protector by a mile in the NBA. And we were just talking about this here in the Chat Sports studio. He's underrated on the offensive end as well. He can catch lobs. He's got the long arms. He can go up over the top of anybody and everybody. And I've seen some videos this summer circulating that Rudy Gobert is working on his jump shot. Stretch 5 / Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not going to go that far quite yet, but maybe eventually. And the reason that he's going to be even better this next season is because, number one, he's got a better team around him with Mike Conley in there and Bojan Bogdanovic. And number two, they don't really have a true power forward. They had Derek Favors. He's not there anymore. It's all up to Rudy Gobert to man the middle in Utah. And I think that makes him a perfect candidate to win Defensive Player of the Year once again. It's just never going to end. I mean, as long as Rudy Gobert's in the league, you might as well just hand him the Defensive Player of the Year trophy at the beginning of the season. If you agree with me, if you think he's going to win it again, type Y for yes. If you disagree, you're like, Jimmy, somebody else has got to win eventually, type in for no. Let's go to number 4, Minnesota Timberwolves. They still got Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, MVP caliber season last year. If you just looked strictly at his numbers, you took away what team he was playing for, he had MVP type numbers. 24.4 points per game, 12.4 boards, a good shot blocker, and when I talk about a stretch 5, I know I just said it about Nikola Vucevic, but Karl-Anthony Towns does it better than any of the big men in the league at 40%. Now, it's usually a set shot. Usually he's spotting up for 3. He's not going to create his own jumper from 3, but he can do literally anything he wants to on the floor. Got to toughen up on the defensive end. It's always been something with Karl-Anthony Towns. When it comes to the defense, he's a little bit soft. If he can become an elite low-post defender, Towns could be top 3. Speaking of top 3, let's get into it. Joel Embiid. This top 3, I'll tell you what, man. Finding the top 10 of centers was not that hard for me, but mixing up this top 3 was really, really difficult. But I went with Joel Embiid at number 3. And if it weren't for his health issues, he could even be up at number 1, but I'm not ready to put him there until he proves that he can be healthy and play 70 to 82 games, 75 to 82 games in a season. Now next year, this 76ers lineup should be, it's a big should, top 2 in the Eastern Conference. You know, you got Milwaukee Bucks, you got Philadelphia, and then it's the rest of the pack. I think this 76ers team is going to separate itself, but the only way it can do that is if Joel Embiid steps up as big as they need him to. You know, he's turned into this kind of stretch 5, but he only shot about 30% from 3. If he can get that closer to 33, 35%, maybe he's more of a true stretch 5. And I think that'd make Rihanna really happy because we all know Joel Embiid's got this little crush, little celebrity crush on Rihanna. So I got to ask you this question, different type of question here for our NBA folks. Who is your celebrity crush? Now, if you promise not to tell my girlfriend this, I'm going to go Selena Gomez. I mean, it always has been and it always will be. But let me know who your celebrity crush is in the comment section below. Let's get to number 2, Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. A true point center in today's NBA. I mean, it's unlike anything we see on the floor right now, and he is reliable every single night for this Denver team who ended up a 2 seed in the Western Conference. A guy that, I mean, if Denver's number 2 again, these numbers get him into the MVP conversation, if not a little bit more. Not to mention 7 assists per game. ridiculous for a point center in Nikola Jokic, 20.1 points per game, 11 boards, and then again, a good three-point shooter for a 7-footer at 30.7. Now, not number one because he can't do it on the defensive end. There were nights where they had to pull him out at the end of defensive games because he's got to step slow. I think for Nikola Jokic to take it to the next level, he's got to improve his body, got to improve his athleticism, and then step it up on the defensive end. And one guy that has no problem on the defensive end or the offensive end or literally anywhere on the court is Anthony Davis. That's why I've got him number one on my top 10 centers for next season. You know, he's finally going to LA. He's going to have a more stable environment outside of the New Orleans Pelicans where, you know, he's never really had any great teammates outside of DeMarcus Cousins and I guess Jrue Holiday. And, you know, with AD, he's just a dominant presence. He's going to spend time at the 4. He's going to spend time at the 5. I think night 1, we'll see a lineup like this with LeBron running point, Danny Green at the 2, maybe it's Caldwell Pope at the 3, Kuzma at the 4, and then you just run big man Anthony Davis in the middle. Now, last year with the Pelicans, even though it was the most drama-filled season of AD's career, he still put up the numbers. 26 points per game, 12 boards, blocking everything that comes his way at 2.4 blocks per game. And again, a guy that became a stretch 5, you have to guard him when he's beyond the three-point line because he showed that he can actually be a stretch 5 and knock it down. So I got AD number 1 for next year. But I want to know from you guys, who is your number 1 center of all time? Not for next year, not just this last year, the best center ever.